And so what you have to understand is that, our drive is to develop our identity and who we are and a concept of ourself. And so, if we do not find ourselves, we may go through identity crisis. And, if you look at yourself from your freshman year to your sophomore, junior, or even, a lot of you are seniors to your senior, you have evolved. Your identity has evolved. And, you've tried on different roles, like, do I fit in with this group? Am I this type of kid? And hopefully by the end of your senior year and you moving out, you'll have a little more of a in touch or a better understanding of yourself and your identity and where you fit in the world. And so the other two terms that we're going to talk about are parent and peer influences. And parent and child conflict. So, parent and peer influences, what happens is that it's kind of like a tipping scale. In your childhood, you are highly influenced by your parents. You love them, you care for them, and their opinion means the world to you. But as you grow into an adolescent, it's not that your parents' opinion doesn't matter, but you're more easily influenced by your peers. That's where we get the aspect of peer pressure. Also, we have the parent-child conflict where parents and children, especially adolescents, do not see eye to eye on situations. I know that all of you can probably reflect back at some point in your teenage years and think about a time that you and your parent did not agree on a situation, whether it was going out, hanging out, politically, curfews, things like that. And so there's a lot of times there's more teenagers feel like parents are not in tune with how they feel, and they are in tune with how you feel, but they are genuinely concerned about the well-being of their child. And then we're going to talk about Kohlberg's stages of moral development. So Lawrence Kohlberg is going to be he went to Harvard, and he's going to have three-stage theory based on morality, which pretty much he is creating this theory based off of right and wrong answers and how people believe what is right and wrong morally at different ages. So I would say that he probably used a cross-sectional type of study to perform this and to develop this theory. So there are three. The first one is pre-conventional. That's where you judge an act by its consequences. That's usually associated with childhood. Usually children tend not to do something because there is some type of repercussion or punishment for bad behavior or reward for good behavior. Conventional would be judging an act by comparing it to society's views. So how society views something or how your peers, because you socially interact with them. Remember, social and society go hand in hand. And then post-conventional is going to be judging an act by comparing it to one's own principles. And so eventually what happens is you create your own set of beliefs, and it's not influenced by society or your parents. It's just what you genuinely believe for yourself. And this is what Kohlberg believed people, how they reasoned in morality. Okay? The next thing, we're going to skip that. The next thing we're going to talk about is adulthood. All right, and so when we talk about adulthood, first of all, you need to understand, unfortunately, that physical abilities peak in the mid-20s. So when we say physical abilities of athletics, your body's probably going to be in its best condition. Now, I'm not saying that it's a wrap when you turn 30 and it's over for you. No, physical ability, is all about maintenance of the body and good health and regimens and things like that. But what we're saying is that the physical abilities are peaking in the 20s. Now, menopause is going to be something that it's a cycle that occurs with women in their 40s and 50s where they lose the ability to menstruate, which means they are now no longer able to produce children or to become pregnant. Menopause has a couple of symptoms of internal hot flashes. They have lower levels of estrogen, so usually a lot of women have to take supplements. But they still are a woman, and they can still, have relationships with their husbands, but they just are no longer able to carry a child. And then andropause is going to be the lack of, like, a lower level of sperm count or losing the ability to procreate in men. Now, life expectancy around the world is 69%, and in the United States it's 79%. And what I would like for you to think about is that, life expectancy is not just based on how well you take care of yourself, but it's also the environment that you're in. And what we're dealing with in the world now is a decreasing birth rate which means the birth rate's going down and an increasing life expectancy. So if you look here at the world map, you can see the United States and Canada, some of the countries in South America, Australia, and many of the European nations are living longer. You can see some are in the orange or the red, and then some countries in Africa and in the Middle East are in the blue. And so there's another thing that I want you to evaluate when you're looking at this map. Countries that are more developed, like economically, with governments, and socially, have a longer life expectancy. What do you think potentially could be America's downfall as far as life expectancy? Just think about it. Now, the average life expectancy at birth by state is 2000, in the year 2000. So if you look here, you can see closely that we have Hawaii is the leading state on having the highest life expectancy. The brown is North Carolina, and the black is the national average. I need to update this chart. Now, when we talk about cognitive development, it's going to deal with memory. And when we talk about memory in your youth, like your young adulthood, midlife, your memory is very solid. It's pretty solid. It's very strong. But as people grow older, there's a reduction in brain weight, which is brain atrophy or atrophy. And what's going to happen is that eventually people can have a lack of memory. That doesn't necessarily mean they have Alzheimer's or dementia, but that they just may not remember things as clearly or be able to recall information as quickly as they would in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. And then dementia and Alzheimer's, which is both of them are disorders where the individual may not be lucid. Lucid means to be aware and alert and understanding of your surroundings. They may not know who they're with or the people that they're around, or even old stories, and they may not recognize people. Now, there are two types of intelligence. You have crystallized and fluid intelligence. So crystallized intelligence, I think of a crystal. It's very solid information, kind of like general intelligence, like we learned about before, something that you carry along with you. Fluid intelligence is knowledge that is gained over time, and it can stick or it can leave based off of whether